Okay people, if I'm being honest with you, this chapter of Dragon Ball Super hands down had one of the biggest changing and defining moments for Vegeta's character in the entirety of the series. Going all the way back to the beginning, I'd argue maybe Battle of Gods showcased the sign of Vegeta's change, but this chapter in particular, since probably Battle of Gods, there hasn't been a bigger moment that showcased where Vegeta's at and changes that he's made even since Dragon Ball Z, which is awesome, great, fantastic. Honestly, this arc, the Granolah, the survival arc, has just been really good, and I am so happy to say that because we've had some rough bunches, we've had some chapters prior to this that was just like, what are we doing here? But I think that they learned from their mistakes, and yeah, they've just been cooking really crazy because this chapter, not only did you have some insane action, of course you get to see all of the forms of Super Saiyan, God, all of these different things that they're capable of, but also you got Detective Vegeta, and I love that as well. And just in general, man, like Dragon Ball Super has really did a whole 180. The way I felt about it prior to this arc and where we're at right now, like, yo, once the anime returns, oh my god, I can't wait. But yeah, people, we've got a lot to talk about. Without further ado, let's get into it. That's Dragon Ball Super.
No matter how you feel, get it done. No matter how you feel, get it done. No matter how you feel, get it done. No matter how you feel, get it done.
Now, before we even jump into the events, another thing that kind of just dawned on me, maybe like 5 to 10 minutes prior to me filming this video, is I was really thinking about, you know, the wish that Granolah made, because, you know, in this chapter, it was showcased, no, he's that dude. He is putting in work. He is not no joke. And honestly, while I was reading it, it kind of dawned on me like, wow, yo, Granolah really sold his soul. If you really think about it, the fact that he only has 3 years of life left, if you really look closely, it's almost like a metaphor that the dragon he made a wish on, and the wish he made in particular, was selling his soul because he only got 3 years left. But now he has the power to, you know, go up against the Saiyans, Goku and Vegeta, because prior to that wish, you know, he would have stood no chance in a battle against them. But yeah, I just honestly feel like Granolah really sold his soul to be able to do what he's doing in this chapter against Goku. I'm like, or even against Goku and Vegeta for that matter, from when they start heading towards him, because yeah, he's putting in work and he sold his soul. But okay, it's been 18 days. They finally arrived on Granolah's home planet. They're ready to go, which I'm glad that, you know, they kind of went through this, which I'm imagining the anime is probably going to use. Like, they put a lot of points, which is something that I've noticed V-Jump has done with, like, Boruto in particular, and I'm imagining now when Super returns, those 18 days, they're probably going to play around with it when the anime comes back and probably put in, I don't want to say filler, but anime original stuff, I guess, in between there, just because, yeah, 18 days. Why mention 18 days if the very next chapter, oh, 18 days later? Probably that was set up for, again, the anime to do what they will with it. Not that I'm saying that the anime is going to come back and just be ongoing non-stop, because they very well could come back and do seasonal, but yeah, that was just something that I caught wind of, like, 18 days and here we are. But Oil and Maki immediately are like, yo, you know, because they're playing, of course, this role of, hey, you know, the bad guys over there, and they send Goku and Vegeta off immediately to go up against Granolah, which honestly, I feel like everything with those guys is just a big setup for what's to come later. Like, everything is happening very quickly in terms of what's going on with Granolah right now, and it seems as though Oil, Maki, Gas, Alec, all of those people are going to probably be the real threat down the road of this arc, because it just seems like right now they're in the setup phase. Like, Granolah is almost, in my opinion, the warm-up of what's to come, which, don't get me wrong, he's a force to be reckoned with right now, but I just feel like he's really just warming shit up, and it's going to be different than, like, you know, going back to, let's just say, Moro, for example, where it was like 2-3 battles with Moro, where it looks like maybe Granolah is going to have these battles right now, and then probably the next battles in the next phase of this arc is going to be, again, with those guys. Because we see Alec and Gas in the spaceship, and there's definitely more story that is going to be told regarding them and what happened when they were on this planet, because Alec is like, yo, it's been like 40 years since I've been here, and he tells Gas, don't worry, things are different than the last time. I'm imagining Gas probably got his ass whipped last time, but again, I've called it before and I'm going to say it again, Gas is probably going to be the one out of all of them to be the strongest, because they've set it up. They've said like, yo, you're really dope, and everything about him is just leading me to believe he is going to be the final threat amongst all of them. Or maybe they'll do some sort of weird movie-esque fusion when they're all going to fuse together to become one with Gas, and really mess shit up. But we cut back to Goku and Vegeta as they're heading towards Granolah, and they notice that there's some cities are destroyed over there, look really old, and then there's some brand new cities. And I'll be honest with you, there was a lot of elements of this chapter in particular that kind of reminded me of certain story beats from the original Broly film, the legendary Super Saiyan Broly, the old one from Dragon Ball Z, not the one that was just, you know, done for Super, the old DBZ one, because it just kind of had like a lot of that vibe of like there's some lies, there's some destroyed cities, some newer cities. It kind of gave me a little bit, even if you think about, you know, the other people on this planet, the ones that have been inhabiting it since the Cerealians have been destroyed, they kind of reminded me of like those creatures that were like putting up the illusion of the city and things like that. Like that's what it kind of reminded me of a lot throughout this chapter. But Granolah ain't playing, because as they're going towards him, blasts just start coming at Goku and Vegeta left and right. Vegeta powers up into, what was it, Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan Blue? I can't really remember. I want to say it was just Super Saiyan. And Goku, he just immediately goes into his Ultra Instinct, which it seems like once again they're dialing it back. They're not letting it go full force, that Goku has a complete handle of Ultra Instinct, because as they're heading towards him and Goku's using Ultra Instinct, you know, they're dodging. Vegeta at first seems to be the one that's having an issue with dodging, like not really like that he's getting blasted or anything like that, but you could tell between the two of them, like Goku's just floating through it and Vegeta's having to use his mind to really dodge all of these, you know, ki blasts that are coming their way. But then eventually a blast hits Goku, catches him off guard and knocks him out, and it kind of is a reminder that, yep, Goku still has a ways to go before he's even mastered just using Ultra Instinct, like, you know, normally, not going into the silver-haired form, but actually just using it, whether he's just in his black-haired form, you know, normal base Goku, or whether he's in other, you know, transformations, he still hasn't perfected it yet. So there's that. It seems as though, like, they're saying there's still a long road to go for Goku, you know, perfecting this form. Or, well, I guess it's not a form anymore, right? It's just a technique. Yeah. And, of course, the setup regarding the sensu beans, which I hate when they do that shit. Apparently they only brought 2 beans with them, which you could argue there that, hey, it was their same pride that they didn't want to bring a whole giant bag because it would make them feel like, you know, but come on fam, just bring a bag of beans, because they only had 2 beans and Goku gets knocked out from that blast that hit him in a vital spot that they already have to use 1. So just keep in mind moving forward in this arc that we only got 1 sensu bean here on this planet that is 18 days away from Earth. So yeah, I don't know how I felt about that. I just kind of felt like, come on fam, like y'all know y'all just took a major ass whipping like multiple times against Moro. Why would y'all play around like that? And especially if, which it wasn't mentioned, I'm just trying to say that that would be the explanation why they would go with that, like, hey, we only brought 2 beings of the same pride. But later on down the chapter we see that Vegeta, yeah, he's growing, but we'll get to it, because I love how Vegeta's taking charge and really like assessing situations and just being a boss. Like he tells Goku, you're relying on Ultra Instinct too much, just use your brain to dodge from here on out. Like, again, feeling like the leader. But Goku kind of finds Granolah as they're heading towards him, sends a blast his way, and you see that Granolah, which it's a mystery at this particular point, and I like that. Like, I'm really enjoying a lot of the mysterious aspects of this arc so far, because Granolah immediately uses something similar, not quite it, but something similar to instant transmission, which you got to think, wait a minute, there's a lot of things already that we've seen, and even throughout this chapter we see as well, that is kind of similar to either techniques or ideas or things like that regarding the Saiyans. So you could argue that maybe metaphorically it's like, yo, Granolah, he's becoming the same thing that he's hated because he's using their techniques and things like that, and even the ideology of, like, you know, destroying and revenge that he, you know, blames the Saiyans for being like, he's becoming like that. But I wonder if there's more to it, because there's still just like a bit of mystery surrounding a lot of things with this arc. And you can tell that Granolah really can't hold in his hatred for them, because little by little he's spilling the beans, because immediately Vegeta's like, oh, so you got a problem, like you got a grudge against Saiyans, based on the things that Granolah just starts blurting out, because again, he's been waiting a long time for this revenge, although you could argue that his real gripe is with Frieza. And going back to what I was just saying, then Granolah uses a Hakai-esque type of attack, which Vegeta just learned. So it makes you wonder exactly what the hell did that dragon do? Like, did that dragon grant Granolah the powers of the strongest in the universe at that time, Goku and Vegeta, and that's how he matched up? Because he's using techniques that take time to learn, and he got all of this, you know, through this wish and whatnot. Like, how would he know the exact techniques that they have, unless because of the wish, it kind of gave him the ability to learn, like, all the techniques that are out in the universe, something along the lines of that? Because, like, then using Hakai Like, that's kind of crazy because that's a god technique, or, you know, a god of destruction technique. How the hell is he using something similar to it? That's crazy. But right here, fam, right here, what I started this video, what I probably titled this video because it's so accurate. I don't know if we're gonna get that big moment that we've been waiting for, right? I don't know if we're gonna get that moment where Vegeta beats the villain. It's probably unlikely, just being honest. If we look at what history has told us thus far, it'll probably be Goku or something else that is going to take out this villain, Granolah, or the big villains, whatever the case may be. But in terms of a big moment that is more important, you could even argue, than that, character development, Vegeta showed it immensely. Like, I'm talking about character development that supersedes anything we've probably seen thus far in Super, and just taking what we know of Vegeta from DBZ and evolving him. And I love this. And what I'm referring to is Goku asked Vegeta, yo, should we team up, or what are we doing here, fam? What's going on? To which Vegeta replies, don't be ridiculous, I'm here to prove I'm the strongest. And at first when I'm reading that, I'm like, oh god, here we go again. The stupidity of the arrogance, the Saiyan heritage, blah blah blah. And then he says, nah man, you may go first. And I'm just like, Nani? Whoa, 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 whoa. What? Vegeta, the prince of all Saiyans, the proud Saiyan with the Saiyan heritage and that Saiyan lusting for battle DNA, telling Goku, nah, you may go first. I'm gonna show I'm the strongest, but you can go first. That right there was immense, huge, humongous for Vegeta, something that he was not capable of in DBZ, and throughout all of Super for that matter, he was not capable of that as well. He conquered a part of that rage, that hunger of a Saiyan within him. That was insane. Like, I'm still baffled at it. Like, this chapter, it had a lot of other really cool shit, battles, transformation, blah, 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 blah. But that moment right there is what solidified, like, Vegeta be carrying this show sometimes. Vegeta be carrying this series sometimes, because that was huge. That was important. That's good writing on the side of Vegeta. Like, the fact that he's actually finally conquering something that it's been festering, and it's a Saiyan problem. Like, he's almost going against his nature itself by saying something like that. That was awesome. And he even follows up with saying, well, he already hit you, right? So you need some payback. And Goku's confused there, because Goku probably, just like us, expected him to say, oh no, I'm going first, screw that Kakarot, which has been par for the course for Vegeta and to be expected. The fact that he did that was the unexpected, and again, big growth. Big growth for the prince of all Saiyans, all 5 or however many of them are left. But Goku goes up against Granolah, and Granolah's kind of surprised, like, yo, you're gonna fight me alone, which we've seen that before time and time again, of like, hey, there's 2 of them, we should probably jump them. No, we're gonna go one, and the villain gets surprised, and even Oil back there hiding was surprised as well, like just one of them. But yo, that's again par for the course for Saiyan. So even though Vegeta just conquered like a certain part of his pride and things like that, there's still that pride part as well. So we're not quite there yet of being perfect, but who is, right? And would it really be a great story if everything was just perfect? We would just be bored. But once again, Detective Vegeta starts to rear his head more and more, because he starts getting suspicious and knowing that Granolah's up to something. Like, things don't seem and aren't adding up with everything we've seen since we got to this planet, and how Granolah is moving and what Granolah is saying. So we got Detective Vegeta on the case. Yo, move over, Detective Pikachu, give that hat to Vegeta. And Granolah can't help himself, because he's asking Goku like, yo, what's going on with that ape form, fam? And Goku, even as naive as he is, he's like, you sure know a lot about us. So while on one side of things, Vegeta, that he can do, you know, make deductions, and kind of he's getting suspicious, and he could do detective work, even you know, Goku, the kind of somewhat dim-witted at times guy, is kind of like, oh, why you know so much about us? What are you talking about? Like, ape form, like, yo. But then Goku says, well, we can't do that form anymore, but we got different hair colors, fam. To which he goes into Super Saiyan God form. And I love Granolah's the test of the Saiyans. Like, you can just see, like, it's oozing out of Granolah the vengeance and the hatred, because he's like, oh, the fact that a filthy Saiyan that is against everything would call themselves a god. To him, it's like heresy. And right there in the god form, Goku and him start to throw down, and you can see that Granolah is still holding his own, which I'm wondering exactly where did that dragon put his power. Like, okay, I gotta keep saying it. I said it in my last month's video on the Super Manga, and I'm gonna say it again. I think that Goku and Vegeta, before they trained, before Vegeta learned Hakai, before Goku learned Ultra Instinct and base form and all of that jazz, I think that Granolah surpassed him then. I think since he didn't train, since he literally sat in his spaceship the entire time since that, you know, big power up the dragon gave him, Goku and Vegeta probably have already surpassed him yet again. Maybe not immensely or anything like that, but I do think that if Goku went into the silver-haired form, he could probably fuck him up, because Goku starts using Ultra Instinct in the God form, which I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest with you, because again, when Ultra Instinct was first introduced, it was something a bit different than what has ultimately been morphed into. Like, it was like a form, like this legendary thing, like, holy shit, if you can do that, you can compete with the gods. And now it's just a technique that he can use in different forms, and it's kind of like, I get it, and it's been set up already for multiple chapters, but I'm still not completely sold on it. Like, it is what it is. This is the new rules for it, but I feel like it was kind of switched into this compared to it being just this legendary thing, like, oh, because then Vegeta says, you know, he kind of was getting bodied by those blasts earlier because he was in base form, but if you use like Super Saiyan transformations and God forms and things like that, it amplifies the Ultra Instinct, which I guess it makes sense, which the silver-haired form is the ultimate amplifier for Ultra Instinct and its accuracy. So if you think about it, the silver-haired form is a form in a way, but the actual, you know, the usage of the technique is something different. So maybe you could almost differentiate it, like the silver-haired form is kind of a Super Saiyan-esque form, but the actual mobility and things like that is the technique. So if you think about it, you could argue that maybe the silver-haired form is actually like a Super Saiyan 5, and the moving around, you know, without thinking and whatnot is actually the technique. That's something to think about. And once again, Granolah showcasing that he's very similar to the same people that he has a problem with. He starts using those crazy blasts and things like that. That reminds me of when Vegeta gets pissed off. Yeah, he's turning into the monsters he hates, even though they're not really monsters and he's misguided, but yeah. And once again, as they're throwing hands, this time Granolah yet again knocks Goku out. It's like he's using martial arts and stuff like that, which is something that's been long since destroyed and ripped out of Dragon Ball, them using just regular martial arts, because it hits him yet again in a vital point that knocks him out for the moment, and that's really good. That's something that is kind of unique to Granolah's personality and his fighting capabilities. I wonder if he knew those type of techniques prior to, because he's using it in combination with his eye. He's able to see, which that eye kind of reminds me of like what would be Byakugan type of thing from like Naruto, where he's able to see the blood flow, and that's how he's able to hit the vital point. So again, I'm curious, maybe he already knew that, but now that, you know, he had that wish that he's the strongest and he's faster and things like that, but he's ultimately always kind of fought like that, I'm imagining. And Vegeta, while all this is going on, continues to be a detective, because he's noticing that Granolah's story sounds similar, and then he's noticing like something is off in the destroyed city. So yeah, Conan, move over, Vegeta's here. And I guess it's just kind of like a whole plot thing, because then as Vegeta is playing detective, Granolah starts revealing more and more to Goku and them, like, yo, as long as that other Saiyan is alive, I could extract the location of Frieza and get my revenge. And Goku's there like, wait a minute, aren't you the bad guy? Like, what's going on here? So by the time, you know, they get up to speed with stuff, which Granolah's not going to listen anyway. To him, these are two devils. Nothing they say is going to change his mind. So even if they deduce like, oh shit, we've been duped and you've been duped, it'll be too late by that time. And, you know, Elec and Gas and Oil and Maki will figure something out to kind of jump in. And probably even, who knows, maybe they'll be the ones to kill Granolah there while he's not paying attention or something like that. That's what I'm going to call it there. There's my crazy prediction as we're doing this. Granolah will be killed by one of them from behind or something along the lines of that, without him even realizing, even close to reaching his goal of revenge against, probably he won't even see Frieza, who knows. But Granolah powers up, and we've seen like in the trailer, because there was a trailer for this chapter, apparently his ki, fun fact, it's red. His ki is red, so there's that. But instead of going into the form that probably would finish this fight, Goku's like, you know, I'm gonna just show off a little more. Here's the Super Saiyan Blue form, let me tell you about it. Granolah's like, I don't give a fuck, I hate you. And they trade more blows, and we start to see like the other people on the planet, the ones that, you know, kind of took over after the extinction of the Cerealians. They're like, yo, what's going on? Which, again, this whole chapter just reminded me of a lot of story beats, like I said earlier in this review, of Broly Legendary Super Saiyan. Even those creatures, they remind me of it. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the inspiration came from that film. And the chapter ends off with Detective Vegeta seeing a giant footprint, which obviously is from the Great Ape form, and he says, I think I know who this is and what's going on. Which, yeah, the mystery is unraveling before our eyes. Honestly, this chapter was awesome. Honestly, this arc has been awesome, and I'm so glad, because if you watched my reviews at the end of the Moro arc, I was not happy. Granolah the Survivor in the beginning kind of seemed a little bit like, could this be good? It kind of feels boring. I don't know. First chapter, too. Since then, it's just picked up, and away we go, because this shit is awesome. Granolah kicking ass. We got the setups for Elec, Gas, and Oil in them in the background. Goku and Vegeta throwing in Detective Vegeta. I like what I've seen, and the biggest thing of all, Vegeta conquering his own nature. That is awesome. But I'm curious what you guys think, though. How do you think this battle is going to go down with Granolah and Goku? Do you think electing them is going to interrupt it, killing Granolah? What do you think Granolah is going to say once he realizes, oh, I've been duped? And your overall thoughts and expectations for the Dragon Ball Super manga with chapters 73 and beyond next month. I just can't stress enough that I'm really happy and impressed with this arc, and I can't wait to see this shit animated because it's going to be amazing. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in, and all praise to the Saiyan Prince himself, fighting his own nature. That was awesome.